Hello. Uh, I was so confused. I was starting up and I was like, all of a sudden I was like, wait, what? Why do I hear Sorana? I was like, I have my ESO sounds off if I'm tabbed out, and also she's not in ESO yet. Hello, Runahay. I was like half deciding I should do this stream. I was like, should I not? Um, my Siri bot needs to be refreshed. I'll need to do that at some point. I just got a notification that my Siri bot needs refreshing. Assuming it's a legit. Definitely is. Anyway, I don't really see, this going on forever. But, ooh, this guy looks awesome.
A solemn old life to you once more, friend.
Scroll and send the bearded. I love it when people have the in their name, you know? Something to something. Anyway, as much as I'd like this to be like a, 8-hour, 8-hour, like, end of year stream. This will just be a regular stream. Probably shorter than a regular stream, a few hours at most.
A good old life to you. I'm happy to see you again, traveler. To what do I owe the pleasure? Are you here to inquire about participating in the ceremony again?
He's got such a relaxing voice.
Of course. Most wait a full day between their messages, but you can offer your words to Aetherius as many days as you wish. And you're in luck. I learned the location of another old life shrine, if you're interested in seeking it out. Excellent. I doubt you'll have much trouble finding this one, seeing as how you didn't have an issue with the last. The ceremony is the same, regardless of the location. You will write your message and burn it. The old life tradition is kept among many faiths. The cultural setting may vary from place to place, but the setup is generally the same. Let me mark this one on your map. Should be right around here.
Sorry.
Should you find the Old Life Shrine, a truly beautiful tradition awaits you. The written message gives form to our most personal thoughts, and burning them connects us through the flame to Aetherius. Might I ask another favor of you two? Indeed. If you carry them with you, I would be very appreciative. As before, you just have to burn them in the flame when you perform your own ceremony. But I completely understand if you choose not to.
I wonder. I mean, as much as I like talking to this guy, I wonder why why you have to go through extra dialogue to take the extra messages. I mean, I guess it's like technically it's like, oh, you don't have to take the extra messages, but I think that it should just be default with the quest, and you like maybe you choose, maybe it says like optional, and you choose to do it, and you can come back like after having burned them or not. But I got Reaper's March again. I think it would just make more sense because I mean, like when you share it, you always have to go back and talk to him. You can't just like do it on the spot after you share it. It's always been that way since it came out. I don't know when it released, like 2020 or something. I'm usually on the ball with that kind of stuff, but I have a limit. I'm pretty good with like knowing, except for like,
Someone help!
hold on.
Let your blood water the earth. Let your soul feed
Guys, it's over. Come on. Come on. They didn't get the memo. I'm healing them, they're just kind of sitting there. Who knows when I'll get the chance to do this again. Hey! I thought you guys were done.
We were done for.
I guess that's always going to be available, right? Like, because that's a mechanic at the camps, and that's always going to be a thing at all, like, on Solstice. So, I guess you'll always get the chance to take out a Reaper. Aw, man. Again, another questionable decision. Me and my friend have kind of agreed that, like, it's kind of odd that some of these characters show up when you don't think they would show up. Like, we're talking about Aetherius here, and a few people that show up you think would, like, have their souls entrapped by Daedric princes. But, I mean, I guess it's showing us otherwise. Can't argue with the facts. Sorry, give me a moment.
Ah, you've returned. Did you
Like how
find
he's
the
like, you
shrine?
went to elsewhere and
Part of
back
the
within like 3 minutes? What the heck?
Then may your message reach Aetherius, traveler. I'm glad to have been a part of your celebration of the old life. Take this. It's my gift to you, in the spirit of the tradition. Something special, so you can remember this old life day. I hope you will celebrate again when the time comes, and that you share this tradition with any you think could benefit from it. The old life ceremony is deeply personal, but those who participate feel a sense of connection, as I'm sure you felt.
Well, I would say confusion, not really connection, but maybe a bit of both. Let's see if that Thieves' Trove is where the only Thieves' Trove in the game that I can remember, because it's on this little island. Let's see if it's there. Happy almost New Year, Leaf. Oh, I don't think I had a place to mention this, so I'll mention it now before I completely forget. But I do have the 7th confirmed off. So that's the ESO 2026 reveal stream. Whatever it'll you know, whatever form that'll take, we don't really know. You know, we don't know if it's going to be meh news or something more like, you know, some it won't be akin to what we got this year, right? So just keep that in mind. At least I don't think so. It doesn't really make much sense. Like if they did something like I'm sure I'll be talking about it a lot this weekend, but I would not expect this, obviously the same pattern as what we got this year. Do I think that there's a chance that we're gonna get this format at some point in the future? Yes. I do think that it's completely possible. Okay, so here's how I do this. I steal, and then Liam sees me and gets really mad at me. Right? And then I leave. I don't know, my frames are kind of slow. They're not dropping, but they're slow. Okay, I literally retrieved a counterfeit pardon edict, so I make my own economy, right? I don't think the Lion Guard gets mad at me, but I'm just gonna Athelia myself. There. I don't really need these hovering around. Okay, workshop furnishings. I want to go ahead and get that done. I think things are running slow because of all my tabs. I'm gonna close Slime VR. I'm gonna go ahead and close Steam. So, I got a good question today. I'm not really asked lore questions very often. But I got a question today. Where my friend asked me if the wait, sorry, let me get the question just straight up. Cuz I don't want to Are the Seisi part Lamia, or Lamia, I guess. Forgive me if I say Lamia. It just, for some reason my brain wants to say that. I'm pretty sure it's Lamia. And this is something that if you, especially if you're on like, if you're in test lore spaces, if you're on YouTube or whatever, you will hear a lot about the Seishi being like snake people, right? But to be honest, there's actually a lot of debate whether or not the Seishi were even snake-like. The Seishi are often associated with snakes, like they have a very, very heavy snake motif. But the only time they're really referred to as being snake-like, like the first thing that comes to mind is probably what Talloway's novel, 2920 Final Year of the First Era, which is a very famous book. It's a historical fiction. So basically it's like these are events that are documented. But it's like the little details of like, oh, what people are saying and what people are doing, that's all acted out, right? It's all like an acted out. No one really knows, you know, what the Empress was doing in the tower and all that stuff. It's just like it is a lot of fluff to it. But that book likes to portray the Seishi as snake-like, like just straight up snake-like. But again, that's not a 100% work of, you know, complete concrete facts. So, I mean, so here's a little bit of, it's kind of like not entirely black and white, because it could very well be that every time that we encounter Seishi, like the ghosts of Seishi and stuff like that, they're always humanoid, right? It could very well be that the Seishi enslaved humanoids, and therefore being Seishi means that you're human and snake-like? Like maybe it's both. It could be. Some people, I believe, have speculated that they are like vampiric shapeshifters, right? But it is a fact that the Seishi that we see, like in Oblivion and stuff, as like ghosts, they are humanoid. So, I mean, it could be that the foot soldiers are humanoids. But other people speculate that the references to them being snake-like is merely their, like, poetic motifs. So when I get it that when people say Seishi, you think of like lamias and whatnot. But I'm just going into the details. Could be that they wanted to portray them as being more monstrous than they actually are. Right. That's kind of what I think a lot of people speculate. Final Year of the First Era was trying to portray. It could be that that book might have even, like, spurred the idea that they were snake-like. I don't know. But it is true that they have snake motifs. That is something that is very true. So yeah, I don't know. But basically, every time you see something like the Blades or the Dragon Guard, or you know, like their weapons and their armor, that stuff is all Seishi inspired, because like at the end of the First Era, during Riemann the First's reign, he had encountered a group of invading Seishi on the Pale Pass Mountains, right? So that's like between Skyrim and Cyrodiil, like at the very, very northern Cyrodiil. So I think it's by Bruma, and he encountered this army of Seishi, and he, according to legend, I believe, impressed them so much that they were like, "Hey, we like this guy. He's the guy. He's the kind of leader we're looking for." And Riemann like took them and kind of incorporated them into the Empire and said, "Hey, we're gonna take a lot of what these guys like have, their cultural ideas and their motifs and stuff. We're gonna incorporate those." And so, like, the dragon, the Akaviri, the Seishi were incredibly great at like hunting and killing dragons, because Akavir is literally dragon land. There's dragons everywhere. So they already knew what they were doing, and so Riemann's like, hey, we could use that. So Riemann kind of established the Dragon Guard from them, and then eventually that became the Blades when the Dragon Guard kind of went away, and Tiber Septim brought it all back and made the Blades. That's why Blades stuff is like, why do they have katanas? Why does Skyhaven and Cloud Ruler all look all, you know, East Asian? It's because that's all Akaviri. I should say Seishi, but you know what I mean. Something of a blade yourself. What if the Thalmor knew that Alduin was coming, and that's why the Thalmor initiated the Great War, trying to get rid of every blade in existence, because they were like, we don't want anyone to be able to deal with these dragons. I mean, it would not be crazy at all to assume that the Aldmeri Dominion would probably have like a spy that knew about the prophecies on Alduin's wall. I mean, like, they would, if they had that intelligence, then it would not be, it wouldn't be very crazy to assume that they literally wanted all the blades gone so that no one would be able to deal with the dragons, because they're like, oh, Alduin's about to show up. I mean, read the writing on the wall. All this stuff has happened. The Oblivion Crisis, the Staff of Chaos, all these things occurred, and those are things that are going to happen right before Alduin shows up. So they're like, we need to get rid of the blades now. So anyway, I have had a time lately doing stupid things. I don't know, like It just seems lately I've just been doing the dumbest things. But aside from completely embarrassing myself on stream on Sunday, I decided to make my life even harder by canceling my bank card for no reason. You just assume the Thalmor are just incompetent? I would not assume that. Sometimes they are, but anyway, long story short, I had purchases on my card that I thought were fraudulent purchases because I was misunderstanding what they were. Turns out they were my own purchases, but I didn't realize that until I had canceled my card. And then I got in contact with the bank to discuss my fraudulent purchases. And then I realized during the call that they were not fraudulent at all. So that's how my day's going. You've done this? You're the second person today that I've talked to that has said, well, I guess, yeah, it's past midnight, whatever. You've done this? The guild is growing. You just play this mobile fishing game, you bought the in-game currency and forgot, then you were confused as to why you had multiple 450 charges on your card. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I had this purchase from McDonald's that was like exactly $10. And the purchase, like, all these purchases I thought I didn't make were because the purchases themselves were registered as, like, several days after. Like, it was like, oh, I went to McDonald's on the 21st, but it said that someone had purchased McDonald's on the 23rd or the 24th. And I was like, that's not me. I went on the 21st, not the 24th. But that's when it went through, because it took so long. And then I was like, then I went scrolling down and I was like, oh shit, there's a purchase from Walmart. And it said Walmart in, I think, Bentington, Arkansas? And I said I do not live in Arkansas. So I that was what really made me cancel my card. That was like a $60 purchase from a Walmart in Arkansas. And then I found out later that every Walmart purchase says that exact location because that is where their headquarters is. That's not where the purchase was made. I mean, how was I supposed to know that? How was I supposed to know that? I mean, if I see like that a Walmart in a completely other state received a charge on my card, I'm canceling the card. Right? So I saw it but then as I was looking it up, I was like, oh wait, every single purchase I've ever made from Walmart has this exact same location. Because that's their headquarters. So here's what I'm going to do. one, it'll probably, now that I'm getting my new card, at least it'll take longer for this one to expire, probably. But also, I'm setting up payment alerts. I don't have payment alerts, which is, this is my lesson that I'm learning. I'm going to be setting up, like, text every time a purchase goes through, because I didn't have that, and I'm going to be having it now. I want to have, like, my own records and stuff, like, to, like, compare and contrast, you know. So yeah, I was like mid-call with the guy at the bank, and I was like slowly realizing what I had done. I was like, I'll call you back when I've found more of these. But I'm like, there's none. They're all me. He was very nice. He probably thought that I was very stupid. But
What?
you were in the middle of deactivating your card when it struck you that it was from the fishing game you were playing at the time? Well, I'm the alternate universe you that, that completely just did it anyway. I called them up, I had them cancel. And so now I have to wait, like, I'll get my new one within a week, I guess. I'm the Texas you and you're the Iowa me? Are there other versions of other states? There's a weather dragon in every state? Or maybe I'm the Texas Leaf. I don't know. This is confusing. I need to, like, either buy a new mouse or clean this one because my scroll wheel is broken. My scroll wheel is just like, it is almost as broken as a scroll wheel can be.
What do you want?
This person says, nerds, how rough is Black Drake Villa on Vet? I want to say really rough. But yeah, this person says a breeze. Either they're being serious or they're trolling. Black Drake Villa, the first boss was very hard on Vet. It's like, are you pugging it? Are you with friends who know what they're doing? I don't generally get a dungeon group of people I know. I'm just really hoping at some point I will get one.
Your concerns, but think of the potential rewards. These woods have long been rumored to house a powerful forest spirit.
There's something off about these Bosmer.
I just feel like an asshole in this dungeon.
Are you sure they just won't attack us?
I agree with the apprentice. How are we to get past these Bosmer if they try to stop us?
We have visitors, it seems. Perhaps they can be of assistance.
I do not want to assist Karindon. I hate the guy so much. Literally, just I hate the guy. Hello, Darklight. Probably the only reason I'm awake right now is because I had coffee earlier. Like, I had a large coffee. A large iced coffee. I mean, that's like the majority of... That's how I drink my coffee these days, is iced coffee. It's like, that's what Sonic offers, you know? They offer, I mean, it's getting kind of chilly, you know? They offer hot coffee, like really just, you know, totally hot coffee, not a terrible amount either, but they don't, like, they don't allow you to have, get enough sugars for me to enjoy it. I am definitely not a bitter coffee guy. I don't even know if it caffeinates me enough. Like, I decided to bite the bullet and have one, and I was like, this, even drinking it black just did not give me a surge. I'm wondering how much of the surge is, like, the taste waking me up, and not, like, the caffeine, right? Like, I'm wondering how much of it is taste. That's just keeping me awake. Because regular coffee is like, this just makes me, I don't know, it's like, I guess I'm awake, but I kind of want to die. It sucks. I wish they had like hot coffee like that you could get with flavor in it. Like a hot coffee, like a hot, I don't know, mocha or something. Something with flavor. But their only thing with flavor is a cold brew. You have a bottle of brisk half and half keeping you awake. I don't know if I ever had that. I mean, do you guys feel like does caffeine really like keep you awake? Like I don't really know if it's like soda. I don't think soda can really do that to me anymore. Maybe on like a weekend, but like after a day of work, I don't think a soda can keep me awake. I just realized I'm the highest level out of this whole group. I will disappoint everybody.
Let me handle the talking. I have a way with words. No! We must treat with them!
He gets incinerated by a fireball no matter what you do, by the way.
My friends, there is no need for weapons. We come in peace.
But I feel more responsible when you pull, you know?
No place here! You'll feed the earth tonight! Charge!
Yeah, nothing about this dungeon, like... Nothing about this dungeon makes me feel like a hero at all. At the end of it, you just kind of feel dirty. I don't remember if Celine had any, like, actual negative ambitions prior to this, or if this is just a big home invasion. She does. She's pretty mad in the first Elder Scrolls game, where she's like wanting to spread the forest or whatever. But I give her that excuse. I mean, like, she's had a rough life. She gets her home invaded, she gets kidnapped, she gets experimented on. She gets corrupted by the Azure disease. Hold on, I gotta take a potion or a food. Sploosh. Well, that's what I mean, though. I'm not sure. I don't remember if she had any like plans prior to this invasion. I don't know if she had any negative ambitions. I don't remember, but it could very well be that this is just what made her snap. This and Marsalak.
Longclaw's daughters are not gone. To me, bless them and forgive. Give them spirit life. See their hunt begin anew.
Okay, we gotta focus on Longclaw because like they just keep coming back. Longclaw should be our focus. I'm putting a skull on him. I'll out-heal any damage from these guys, because Craze is taunting, but we can focus on the boss. The spirits just respawn. Boss. I almost went right into a trap. That would have been so funny.
Did you meet the new commander?
But yeah, this stream can't be too long because I do have to go to work early tomorrow. On New Year's Eve, and then I have to go to work a little bit early the day after tomorrow. On New Year's. Luckily, the base time that I get off is at 11, and my commute is like less than 10 minutes. So I should be able to make it home before the new year, you know? Dang. Goodness, we went right through that. I mean, is this? I guess this is veteran. They're kind of tanky a bit, but that's about it. Brisk and Jurassic World Evolution 3. These guys have debuff on them. What the heck is this? What is that? We're okay, we're fine. Hello, giant bear. There's a lot of heavy sacks in on this map, and they're so easy to miss, because they're green. But I think I remember counting like 10 heavy sacks in one run, which is pretty crazy. I literally think they put them here on purpose, because they're so hard to see. Whoa. I ran out of banner.
Selene protects. Selene destroys. Selene will rule all.
At the park you're working on, you're at the point where all the dinosaurs are self-sufficient, no longer need human intervention, you're just decorating. You've completely recreated a natural environment. It's that effect again. Are we gonna use the scroll, I wonder? I'm curious. How did I accidentally use Reviving Barrier? Like, literally, was that the only time I've ever fat fingered my ult in ESO? That might be, and you know what? Might as well at this point. Because I specifically, like, made it, Z on my keyboard so that I wouldn't do that. And I just did it. I made it Z. It's so hard to accidentally press Z on your keyboard. They are separated by inclusions, of course, but you don't have to clone anymore. Natural cycle of life has begun. Right, but do they just like eat each other, or? Because I mean, like, if there's no human intervention, do humans still like drop food in there, or are they naturally feeding on each other, like a preserve or whatever? Are they all herbivores? I don't know. I've always wanted to say it like that. Hmm? I still want to say, oh wait, no, sorry, I was just curious about something. Oh, the feeders are automated. That actually makes a lot of sense, I guess. Here we go. There she is. Yeah, I feel bad about it too, Celine. That bear hurts, man. That bear is like the roughest attack in the dungeon. But Crazy just kind of took it. What the heck? Oh, see the bear hit. I don't quite have it. Sorry. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm hurt. Aid me. I need aid.
They're all like, ah, I need aid, I'm hurt. Oh god. Yep, I'm not anywhere near him. There we go. I got to keep my ult. Good work. I'm guessing that... I don't know. She's searching all the spots for heavy sex. Nothing. Nothing. I have found nothing. Heavy Saxilil. You know, like really bulky Argonians. That's okay, yeah, that's what you thought I said? Yeah. I mean, not to be confused with heavy sax, which is like, you know. You know. I get it, I'm old. Fungal Grotto. Why did it have to be Fungal Grotto? I just realized how much I sound like one of those goblins. I like how the pledge just has you kill 2 of them, which makes me wonder if they knew people just like to do shortcut. Why are my frames like this? Yeah, we just have to kill the pack master. I guess he's the only one left though. I forgot to clear these. My bad, my bad, my bad, my bad. Really hoping we get that Marcus junk thingy. A Marcus junk hotkey would really save me some seconds here. Maybe like a click and drag like a bunch of items and then just mark them as junk as a group. Ooh, that's a sexy idea. It's like when you're selecting stuff to like decon. You know, it's like how like you go like click, 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 click. It's like I want to decon this, this, and this, and this. What if you could do that with like a one button that says like mark things as junk? You toggle it, and then it's just like click, 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 and it's just like mark all as junk. Boom, like that. I'm a fucking genius. Okay, we're gonna be taking waterfall shortcut. I can't find it. I can't find the heavy sack. There's a drink. I really can't find it. What the heck? They were all over here. Am I blind? Okay. Yeet! Yeah, sometimes mom and dad have trouble getting up here, but I am a pro. Ah! Oh my god. I'm sorry, I couldn't have done anything about that. That's an insta. I knew that was gonna happen. I saw it growing. I was like, she's about to die again. It's an insta. I think she rolled out of that one. I don't even think my shield took damage. I almost was caught in it. I was getting a little bit carried away. Woof! There we go.
By the ebony blade, this is it. We found the shrine.
Everyone just is completely silent now. So about Rise I Bandit. Yeah, it's like I don't know how that was I don't know how that's a likely ban evader, because it's very clearly a bot. Like The bot's saying likely ban evader restricted. I think it's maybe because I need an update on my bot or something. Yorma must have something that it has limited. The bot posted and it caught it. Hmm. I mean, they did Black Drake. I don't want to force them to do it again. You ban, block, and report the spam bot. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just waiting for them to get to the dungeon. Does this sound like Corneria? Why are you showing me this? Why is it showing me this? This is weird. Why are you going slow? So it's not much of a secret. I guess I was implying it, and I probably, maybe even I mentioned it at some point in the past. And this isn't really big news because most people watch me for ESO and not for anything else. But I play a lot of VR chat, especially this year where like my playtime for it exploded, you know. And I know you'll hear a lot of people talk about the VR chat pipeline. It's a thing that at least I remember seeing a lot of, where it's like as soon as you start, it starts becoming like a very expensive hobby. Where you start like, oh, you first find a model you like, and then you start using it, and then you start paying to have it customized, and then you start like buying better hardware and stuff like that, and eventually it costs you a lot of money. That pipeline is completely real. So back in early October, because due to reasons it took forever, which is normal, but back in early October I had ordered some Slime VR trackers. And they took forever to get here, because that's just the way that it works. They need to like have them manufactured in the Netherlands in like batches, and you need to like order the batches during the times, and then they have to like get those into the United States for those buyers, and they have to get like through a whole checking process, and it's probably harder these days. So it literally took like from October 3rd to at some, like, I forget what it was. I think it might have been Friday or something is when they finally showed up. I was beginning to expect them at some point during January. At this point I was like, they're saying December 31st is more likely. And when I saw December 31st, I realized that they probably just mean at some point after December 31st, which is probably going to be late January. So they came a little bit earlier than I was expecting at that point. Nice job. kind of how soccer shirt collecting goes. It starts with your favorite team, and you have an entire rack of shirts. It gets out of control. I don't know if your shirts were as expensive as my trackers, but maybe over time. My set of Slime VR trackers, they have been paid off at this point because, like, again, it's taken so long for me to get them that they have been long paid off, you know. But they cost me around $300, and I get it. It's like, holy shit, but like, this is something that I know I'll be using, and I know I'll be getting like some eventually, and so I tried to get those to work on Sunday, and I realized that I was not able to do it. I was having a lot of problems. You go from 50 to over $1,000 depending on the shooter. Dang. It's crazy. But yeah, so for me, I got one of the smaller sets because it's less expensive, right? So I know it's like $300 for a less expensive set. Is funny, but so we're talking like 4 on the legs. So like it would be like thigh, ankle on both legs, and then one for the hip, and then one for the chest. So I got those, and it was a really hard time getting them. I was not able to get them to connect to the PC, right? This intimidated me a lot because you begin to really worry when you pay so much money for something and it's not really working, and I'm thinking to myself, why isn't it working? Are these broken? Are they not compatible with my machine? There's a lot of stress involved in this kind of thing. And I was thinking to myself, that shouldn't be, right? A lot of people use Slime VR. A lot of people complain about it, a lot of people don't. So I was thinking, what's the problem? So I googled it, and it said that the trackers need a 2.4 gigahertz connection, and I run on a 5 gig Ethernet connection, and I'm like, is that messing it up? Because it wasn't connecting to the PC. So I just asked my dad for help because I was like, at this point, I don't know what to do. Wouldn't you know it? The answer had nothing to do with the Wi-Fi. Well, I guess it kind of did, because I was connecting to the wrong network, for one. But, the other problem was that I was failing to connect the trackers properly, because I literally was not plugging them in enough. I was sticking the USB in the trackers to kind of like plug them in for my PC to recognize them, and I refused to plug them in all the way. I tried, and I felt like I was going to break the thing, so I refused to push it in any further, and so the PC just would not detect it. But I swear to God, it just felt like it was going to snap if I pushed it any further, so I decided not to. I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. When you spend so much money on something, it's like, I don't want to, like, I can just see myself breaking this right here, right now. I'm basically, like, treating it with, like, the utmost respect. And I just treated it with so much respect that it wasn't fucking working. So, yeah, I plugged them in properly, and then had the PC detect them. That was the beginning of trying to get them to work. Once I got my PC to notice them, I got in game, and I was trying to see if the game would detect them, and I started to run into issues. And it's because like, currently the way that my computer was working is that I was using FBT emulators, which basically means that my computer was thinking that I was using like a full set of trackers when I wasn't, and that was just to improve performance. So I basically was confusing my computer, and I had to go through all this process of trying to get the machine to recognize my actual trackers instead of the fake ones. It took a little bit of work to do that, but that was my own fault. I knew that I was probably gonna have to encounter something like that, so it's whatever. But I did eventually manage to fix it. Like, I didn't even need to Google anything because it was such a specific problem that I don't think anyone could have even helped me. So I was kind of felt like I was on my own, and I managed to actually fix it like by myself. And I haven't really had issues since then. I did have a thigh disconnect on my first day, but I think I might have accidentally turned off the tracker while I was like adjusting it or something, and I didn't realize it. So I'm gonna be careful not to do that. But essentially, if you're wondering what they look like, they're very stylized. Basically, they look like a piece of technology from the early 2000s. Do you guys remember like Game Boys and like Xbox controllers that would be entirely like, they would be like colored and translucent just to show off the tech inside? That's what they look like. Like they have this like very early 2000s vibe where they're like a translucent purple where you can see all the internal organs just for like pretty effects. I kind of wish it was made of steel though, because it's like I want these things to be as hardy as possible. But so far, I mean, like I need to recalibrate sometimes. Sometimes, I need to pull up the app in game and do a very quick recalibration. And putting on the trackers itself probably takes a minute. It's like no big. So basically, like the more time I spend on it, the more streamlined my experience becomes. And like the faster I get at it and the more natural it feels. You kinda like forget that you're wearing them. It was funny, like I thought that my dad would be happy to help me with the problem, but I didn't think that he was gonna be as interested in them as he was. He was very interested in them. Like he's never really shown any interest in VR stuff at all. But he was really interested in the technology. Yeah. So he didn't just like help me see if they were working, but he also like connected them to his computer and then had me label them and all this stuff to make sure that everything was working correctly. So it basically looks like the set that I got it's not like 100% like mocap, right? Because it is one of the smaller sets. Some people buy sets of like 8 or 10 or so, which are like, include like the feet and the upper arm and lower arm and things like that. I don't have that. But honestly, I don't really know if you'd be able to tell. I'm not even sent to the right quest. Ah. You wouldn't know anything about it as you're a baby learning to crawl when it comes to VR? Well, if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. Like, if you've done VR chat at all, or you're interested in things about VR chat, I've been doing it a lot this year. My brother is really, really, really into VR, but my brother's into VR as like a way of playing games. He obviously he loves playing VR chat too, but like he's more into VR because he enjoys playing. He thinks that like, you know, the best way to experience video games is in virtual reality. I don't really feel that way. I feel like you get a certain special type of experience playing a game in virtual reality, but there are things that you can't do in games in virtual reality, like Overwatch would suck, right? In VR, it just doesn't. You just can't have some gaming experiences like that. I cannot believe I'm actually doing this. But that being said, I have been doing a lot of VR chat, and I am pretty knowledgeable. Bum 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 bum. Shit. Oh, that wasn't so bad. I always love this relief over here. It's really cool. It's a shame what happens. So that's a Durkarach in the center there, and I'm supposing that's probably the Tag Joylock, I think they're called. The like the dark witchmen wizards that helped Durkarach basically attain his position in as emperor and then completely vanished from existence. No one knows where they went. Dang it. It's about donut time. Donut time. Isn't Kratos a Seishi? I mean, like, he's wearing, like, Seishi's stuff. At least his hat is Seishi. Weird. Oh, I didn't have this. How the heck? Hey, now I just need to do this with my parents, because my mom really wants that red dye. I need to make sure they remember that you have to do 2 dungeons. You have to do this and the sister dungeon, which is the Cauldron. These came out in early 2021. Like I was saying earlier, I don't think I finished my thought, but like, at a certain point, I'm pretty knowledgeable about when things release for ESO. But, like, past a certain point, I'm pretty rusty. Like, 2018, like, I don't know what dungeons came out in 2018 and before, so that's like 4 whole years. But 2019 and after, I can tell you in detail. Guy turns him. Wait, did we do that on normal? Is that why it went so fast? Was that on normal? I didn't even realize. I don't... I mean, surely... Was it? I didn't even notice if it was. Because I only got like 1, right? And that's... I think you get like more than that if you do that, don't you? So I don't really know what we're going to do now. I did all my endeavors. So even though the stream isn't going to be super long, I will, like, obviously have time to do a last batch of theories before the reveal stream on the 7th. I mean, I know, like, the prevailing theory is Druidoc. I'm still holding on to that. But I'm also preparing for that to take, like, a much smaller version of itself than what we assume. I don't know. I'd like to see. I definitely think that you know, like, zones are, like, the main reason, that's what brings people back to the game, you know? Like, I don't think many people, a lot of people do, like, oh, class updates and stuff like that, but I feel like the big surges of players are when you actually have a new place to explore. So we will see if they do that at all. Give me a sweet roll. One sweet roll per dungeon companion? Hey, we're having one sweet roll. It's just like an infinite sweet roll, you know? It's just like nom. Nom never seems to end. Nom. So yeah, I mean, I guess another reason why I want to theorize, like, Druidoc is, I don't really think they're going to call it Druidoc, probably not. I mean, maybe the Zone, but, like, in terms of the season, it probably wouldn't sell well under that name. So, it would probably be something different under the season name. But, like, another reason why I want to believe that is because it just kind of seems to make sense with Zos's general way of going about things. They're like, oh, we haven't focused on blank in a while. We'll delve into that, you know? Like, they seem to like to kind of stray away from things and then delve really hard into them. And I think that orcs fit into that spot. They don't get a lot of love these days. I mean, like, it feels like it's probably about that time, you know? I mean, I want to say the same thing also for Khajiit. Obviously, like, Khajiit's the last time, Khajiit's last year was 2019, which was, you know, that'll be, you know, 7 years ago. By the time that whatever comes out. You know, next year it'll be 7 years. So, I think that, like, both of those, like, if they want to do, like, a crossover thing again, where it's like Altmer and Argonians and Orcs and Khajiit, I definitely think that, I think that is, at a certain point, that becomes kind of old, you know? Especially, it's really risky to do. You ever thought about that? Like, hold on. Sorry, what was I saying? Oh yeah, okay, sorry. Let me finish that thought because I believe that can be kind of a confusing thought. So, in the Elder Scrolls, right? The Elder Scrolls is a very it's a very like race centric game, but like series, but the fandom is way more race centric than even the series is. So because the fandom is very race centric, like the fandom is super race obsessed, honestly, to a freaky degree. Like for the other for like ESO to like start doing like Argonians and Altmer and then Khajiit and Orcs and all that stuff is really supposed to be pissing a lot of people off. Like the most annoying people you know, it's gotta be pissing them off. That's what I mean. But I mean, like, there's a lot of them, and I feel like it's a very bold move. Let's say bold. Let's not say risky. So, but I mean, there is a certain point where if they keep doing that, it'll come off as a little old. You know, it's like you can do that a lot. You can do that if you want, but at a certain point, it starts becoming kind of, what's the word, trite? No, it's like it's an odd pattern. Yeah, it's like you can do it, but once you like make that your identity, it seems a little And I'm not even saying that from, like, a lore perspective. I'm not even saying that, like, oh, you can't do this because it goes against the lore. I'm just saying, like, eventually it'll become kind of a noticeable pattern. And also, at the same time, if anything, I think it could hurt the game, because it's like you would want to spend more time on. My God, you'd want to spend more time on like certain races instead of covering two at the same time. You know, like if you're spending a year focusing on Orcs and Khajiit, then that means that neither of them are getting your main focus, right? That means that, like, suddenly, like, a year that you might have wanted to go to the Khajiit or to the Orcs is being, you know, kind of split in between two of them. If they wanted to do something like that. And it's an interesting decision because I think, like, it works in terms of getting diverse, like, interesting cultures in your DLC. But, again, like I said, it'll just kind of, like, well, now you can't do a Khajiit chapter or a Khajiit DLC for quite a bit of time, because you just did one. I think that they handled Solstice very well. They didn't like they had the Altmer and the Argonians living together, but also like I'm sure to like again to the worst people you know, like the most annoying people you know, having Argonians and Altmer on in one island or whatever would seem like a really like dumb concept, but to those who were like, you know, read into the lore and stuff and how, you know, the Altmer even got there and how they interacted with the Argonians over the course of many years, like it starts to make a lot more sense. But when you just see it at face value, of course the dumbest people, like on Reddit and shit, are gonna be like really toxic about it. But yeah, obviously ESO's a lot more ESO definitely leans very hard away from a lot of the more edgy race stuff that you get in the other Elder Scrolls games, which is funny because like you've got these three alliances always at each other's throats, which you think would amplify like a racial identity or whatever. But like doesn't really matter that much. I mean, yeah, a lot of it you can pin on things like, you know, like more progressive leaders and stuff. Like Iren's very progressive. Yoren's very progressive because he just doesn't care. Yoren's progressive through like he's just a guy that wants to have fun. Iren, I guess, I mean, like I said, Iren's very progressive, but I think she's like progressive in a practical sense, maybe. Like, I don't know. Whoa. And Emmerich can also be like practically progressive. Like for Emmerich, I just think that his lack of prejudice is also something that again he's mainly just practical because it's just kind of like, okay, well, you know, we're taking on Rancer and I need the orcs' help, and he's like, we could literally just ask the orcs for help and give them what they want and form an alliance, and he's like, he doesn't care. it's just like, these are people that can help me, and he doesn't really have any prejudice towards them. And he sees it as a deal, right? He's like, I'm gonna make a deal with y'all. I'm pretty sure... I mean... Yoren, I want to say Yoren's that way, but Yoren, I believe, is more like... He's just a likable guy, despite the fact that I cannot stand his voice at all. But he is a very likable guy, because he just seems kind of chill. And he can make friends easy. And his connections and stuff with people are kind of what drove the Alliance to kind of come together. So I think his more like childish kind of nature led that to happen. I mean, like when you have three leaders that are kind of young-ish and don't really see racial prejudice as being practical towards their cause, or they might not even care. Once you have that, you start having a political and even cultural shift in the environments around them, and I think you can probably pin a lot of the lack of racist edge in this portion of Tamriel's history to that, if you want to. But also, I mean, like, I've talked about this plenty of times, but there's a lot of history about, like, weird alliances in Elder Scrolls history, which I'm sure a lot of the worst people you know, so I'm just going to define them from now on. I'm sure a lot of those people don't really even know about these, like, alliances. Literally, like, the All Flags fleet. The All Flags fleet was literally, like, you had everyone working together. I literally believe... I'm trying to remember, but I'm pretty sure, like, the Alessian government even helped pay for the fleet, right? The Alessian government helped pay for the fleet. I recall that happening. Like, I recall, like, Olo or something making a deal with the Emperor. I don't remember who's Emperor during that time. I mean, that's crazy. Like, you'd literally have... You'd have, like, the Alessians funding money into a fleet comprised of, like, Argonians and elves. I mean, that's just how much the Thracian plague sucked. That's how bad it was, right? But when people want it enough, they are literally willing to just put up with each other, right? And also Glenumbra Moors is another major example. Glenumbra Moors, which I'm sure you've probably heard the term before, but Glenumbra Moors was it's a location, right? But when I say Glenumbra Moors, I mean like the Battle of Glenumbra Moors. It was essentially the enemy combatants for this conflict was the Alessian Empire versus like the like Dureni, Bretons, and Aelids in High Rock. And so like you had the Alessian Empire trying their best to invade High Rock, trying to, you know, like spread their influence and punish the elves, because they just can't keep themselves from doing that. And the Dureni are like doing all they can to like keep them at bay. But it kind of comes to a head at Glenumbra Moors, where again the Aelids, like Lolorian, I can never say his name right, Lolorian Dinar, and the Dureni and the Bretons, and also the Nords together fought off the Alessian invasion, and the Alessian Order did not die there. It just kind of like, it never got that bad anymore. It just kind of persisted until eventually it ended, which was, God, I think like 1,000 or 2,000 years later. It lasted a very long time, but they were never as strong after that point. They suffered. But I mean, like, you had you know, like Daedra worshipping Aelids. I'm sure there were Daedra worshipping Aelids too. But you also had, you know, they were teaming up with the Dureni, and again, weirdly enough, some Nords were there. Literally, Hoag Myrkiller was leading these Nords. The guy's name is Myrkiller, and he's on the side of the elves against the Alessian Empire, the humans, you know? And it's like, what the fuck is going on? And it's mostly because Hoag had a negative experience with the Empire. And he literally just was like, this is my chance to kick him back, you know? He's like, this is like a dignity thing. And he literally, like, I guess was so mad about the whole thing that he put away his Myrkilling just to kick some Alessian ass. But see, the people that you like see in Facebook comments, YouTube comments, blah blah blah, they're not gonna know this. They're just gonna say, I played Morrowind and it was pretty racist, and this seems kind of woke. It's like, did you read anything in Morrowind? No. And obviously the Alliance Wars, I think, it's also just another example that'll go down in history, where it's just kind of like, there were these three alliances. It really isn't that entirely strange. The strangest thing is definitely the Argonians. I mean, maybe the Orcs, I guess. The Aldmeri Dominion isn't very strange, because, I mean, you see the Aldmeri Dominion, like Khajiit and Bosmer and High Elves, that ends up happening like a couple more times as time goes on. Obviously, things get rough for the Argonians again. And I don't think things stop being hard on the Orcs. But you'll encounter a lot of people who just kind of like act like everywhere. Because here's the thing, like, people picked up Morrowind and they played it when they were like 8 years old, when they shouldn't have, because they weren't mature enough to absorb it, and they instantly started believing that everywhere in Tamriel is like incredibly racist. Because Morrowind's a very edgy game for the time. You know, like you look at someone funny and they get mad at you, right? I mean, like everyone's just like super gruff and overly snarky, and there's racism everywhere and all that stuff. And so people are just kind of like, oh, I guess this is just what the Elder Scrolls is. And then when Oblivion came out, and you had like literally one of the members of the main quest being an Argonian mage, who, you know, is like one of the like main people there at the oh shit. That was like, what the the Arcane University. I forget her name though. But she, like, you talk to her about the commentary, so the Mysterium Xerxes. But like, it's like there's so much like diversity in Oblivion that no one really talks about that. I mean, everyone just kind of acts like all that didn't happen. I mean, yeah, you get some racism in Leyawiin. You get some tensions of people snarking Argonians and people snarking Khajiit because it's right on the border and stuff like that. But it's nothing like, you know, it's nothing super, oh my god, or whatever. That's like the most tense I remember it getting. And then obviously you go back to Skyrim, and obviously in Skyrim, during a period of insanely bolstered nationalism, there's a lot of like tensions up from the Nords at the time, who are obviously like super tense with the Dunmer, because like they want to keep their identity. They don't want to lose it to the Thalmor. They don't want to lose it to the elves, and so they're like stuffing the Dunmer in the slums of Windhelm, and, you know, Khajiit aren't allowed inside the cities and things like that. Skyrim's obviously nationalistic by default, but I think it was really bolstered by everything that's just been happening around there and around that time. And so the fandom plays that, and they're like, oh, that's right, like Elder Scrolls is a franchise about race, and they just really just missed the point. I mean, you need, like, it is, I don't say core. If I say core, people are going to think it's a foundational thing. It's part of the Elder Scrolls identity to tackle the idea of, like, how various races treat each other. That is true. You'll see that in most titles. But if there's going to be a lot less of it in Elder Scrolls 6, then all the worst people you know are going to be getting so mad. They're going to be so mad. Like if Elder Scrolls 6 is not racist enough, especially like if it like maybe by the time that Elder Scrolls 6 releases, you know, 2030, haha, I'm funny. Maybe by that time, a lot of this culture, like war, will have worn off, but it's best be me being optimistic. Because, I mean, like, I think that it's not really controversial to say it did not used to be this bad. Obviously, you're always going to have the people who find the idea of racism to be, like, really interesting. Like, oh, it adds realism, blah, blah, blah. But we've surpassed that in the past 10 years. Things are a bit different now. But I can say that I don't see Elder Scrolls 6 being, you know, it's not going to be Morrowind edgy. I don't really think it's going to sell. It's going to be, I see it being a lot more progressive than Skyrim by a long shot, you know? Like, there's going to be so many complaints about it from the worst people you know. Like, think of it this way. When Oblivion Remastered released, they had replaced one of the first things that you experience in the game, which pissed off, well, you know who. So, essentially, in Oblivion Remastered, when you were making your character, you basically can select male or female. In OG Oblivion, you select male or female, and it kind of, like, defines your character's physical attributes, right? Like, here's your buffs if you're a male, and your debuffs if you're a male. Here's your buffs and debuffs if you're a female, and that's just how the game works. And it can kind of, like, obviously force you to have to play one if you want the game mechanics to go in that direction. Like, okay, well, I need the speed buff and stuff like that. Oblivion Remastered did away with that, and instead they, like, replaced it with, like, origin. Like, they picked 2 places that your culture is from. You know, they would pick, like, I don't remember what they had for the Nords, but, you know, just pick 2 locations. Be like, oh, a Nord from here and a Nord from here. One's faster, one's stronger, and whatever. And people got so mad. Like, they got annoyed. Like, even getting annoyed is pretty silly. But expect things like, if they're gonna be triggered by that, then, like, there's gonna be a lot of melting snowflakes when 6 releases. Genuinely never knew their stats for gender in Oblivion until people pointed it out. You still don't care. Yeah, it's not like a super core thing from Oblivion that everyone's like, oh yeah, I remember that. If anything, it harms the experience. Elder Scrolls is literally all about, you know, it's all about your identity. You know, you are who you want to be, and there's not really supposed to be those limits that stop you. And I think it kind of messed with the gameplay, and also it just seems very outdated. So, not only that, but they also when they got rid of that, when they got rid of the gender modifying stats option, that left an opening for them to, you know, basically add something new. And they took that opportunity to essentially give us, I think it's technically the first example of the Elder Scrolls Online affecting something in a mainline Elder Scrolls game, which is you can have your Breton be from, like, Daggerfall or something, or you could have them be from the Sisters. And before everyone in the before all 5 people in the chat go, oh, the Sisters already existed. Yeah, the Sisters did exist. They were just like 3 spits of land in the ocean, but they weren't associated with the Bretons at all until ESO came along. It was 100% an ESO related decision, and I find that very cool. And then as you play the game further, as you play Oblivion Remastered more, there's some more ESO inspired choices, which just really excites me. For example, Vanis Galerian statue in Shaden Hall, I believe. Vanis Galerian statue uses his ESO look. Like, it's his, like, they have his robes, the Mages Guild robes that are in ESO. Like, they are just straight up the exact same robes. It is so cool to see, honestly. Like, it's the Mages Guild formal robes, these ones. He's wearing these. It's just really neat. So, and I believe there's a statue or two that also updates their look. I forget which ones, but that's the first one off the top of my head. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool, and so I'm really looking forward to when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and has ESO related stuff. But focusing back on ESO's influence on the series as a whole. Elder Scrolls 6 is probably going to be more progressive because ESO released in 2014, and that was kind of... I noticed that there was a lot more of a... Maybe I'm crazy, but I noticed that there was a lot more of a opening for progressive like values in the mid-2010s. Like, it started to become more... You started to see more like diverse characters, representation, all these things, and if you can also see that kind of progressive push slam like headlong into like all the drama behind like progressivism in media and the drama behind people like pushing back against gay marriage being legalized. Midway through the 2010s was like a massive cultural shift, and it kind of also slammed into like engagement based profit making online, and all of it mixed together kind of led us to where we are now. But you mentioned there would be lore books or something associated with to the Plainbelt. Maybe. They did say that like the reason whenever anyone asks like why are there no references to ESO related stuff in the future, they just kind of say documents get lost sometimes, records were burned or whatever. I think that they're probably going to fix that in Elder Scrolls 6. I think Elder Scrolls 6 is probably going to toss in references to ESO. I think that the like documents have been lost excuse is just kind of, you know, to appease people for now, but I definitely see that, like, I think it would be kind of cool if we saw that in Elder Scrolls 6. I don't think it's completely, I don't think it's completely weird to say that. It's kind of like when people sometimes bring up, they're like, well, why didn't Anakin mention Ahsoka in Episode 3? It's because, well, she wasn't written yet. Ahsoka was not a thing. But also, the answer in canon is that he just didn't reference Ahsoka. He didn't talk about her. So in the other Elder Scrolls games, you just don't read about stuff that happened in the other games. Like you just never find books on it. That's just because it wasn't written yet. It's not because it didn't happen. It's not because like, you know, all these documents got burned or whatever. You just don't find a book with the stuff in it. And I believe that you can even find some books that reference things like... I think there's a couple occasions where vague things are mentioned in books that you see happen in ESO, but I can't... Off the top of my head, I just can't remember what it is. But basically, like, the only really information we have on the Second Era is that they're like, oh, it was a very chaotic time. Oh my god, my purple, sweet purple. But yeah, but back on progressivism in the Elder Scrolls, like, because ESO came out during the time when media took a very, like, more progressive turn, and like, you gotta think of it this way. As much as I don't like to think of it this way, like, you can get really cynical about it. But, I don't think it's a 100% cynical thing. But you gotta think like the Suits, okay? So, around 2014 and 2015, was, like, again, legalization in America for, like, gay marriage and stuff, and all these companies were, like, you know, rainbowing themselves up and stuff like that. And, yeah, it's not 100% sincere, but also the product of something like that is that companies were more allowed to express themselves in that way. So, like, basically, artists that make games, right? Like, artists that are you got queer artists and all that stuff, and people who want to write progressive characters, the chains are off, right? The Suits no longer are telling them, you can't have a gay character, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. A lot more companies were becoming more and more open because they're like, oh, it turns out that a lot more people are accepting of this and we're not going to get fucking canceled for having more progressive stuff because, like, you know, everything's taking a more liberal turn. And I think that that's what caused a lot of media to explode with representation, not because suddenly it was like some agenda, but because suddenly companies were just kind of like, yeah, you're allowed to do that because apparently we won't get canceled if you do. And like I said, that entire culture just kind of rammed head on into, like, the conservative culture, which was rising to oppose it. You know, like the contrarian culture, which is just kind of how society works. You know, and then everyone started beating each other up at the same time when engagement became really popular, and then that just so happened to line up with a presidential election with someone that, because the culture war was essentially carrying him to victory because no one was willing to tell him not to do what he was doing, and it all just kind of got out of control. And the product of all of that is essentially, like, all the crazy anti-woke stuff that we have these days, and that will essentially continue to slam into, like, games like The Elder Scrolls that decide to add progressive stuff to itself. So when Elder Scrolls 6 does release, it will have woke things, and they will be shocked. Players will be floored, their jaws will drop, because they weren't playing ESO, and they haven't been keeping track on the progressive advancement that the series has made over the course of many, many years, you know, over a decade at this point. Oddly enough, Baldur's Gate 3 barely had any pushback on it. Right, that is true, but also I think that I don't know if Baldur's Gate 3 had the same, I mean, like, did that have the exact same amount of people who were, like, clawing at the walls to I mean, like, because people are literally, like, outside of Todd Howard's house. Okay, well, not literally. But people are basically just kind of like, give us something. Give us something. And so, like, when this thing shows up and it's, like, pretty progressive, assuming it will be, that I feel like that they're just setting themselves up for incredible pushback. Not that I think that they're going to care. I hope they don't care, you know? It also really depends on what a game offers. Larian has, or I should say had, because it kind of blew that up overnight. They had a pretty good fan base at the time Baldur's Gate 3 came out. Yeah, I heard about some AI drama or something. Yeah, but I mean, like, also, things are getting worse on the things are worse these days on like what companies are willing to put in their games, and I'm not sure if we're seeing the fallout of that yet. I think it might be too early, but you can definitely see you can feel a shift. You can feel a shift because companies really, like at the top, they really only want to cater towards what they feel the general amount of buyers will be okay with, right? So again, like I said, once like gay marriage was legalized, they're like, okay, well this is cool. We can do this, and no one's gonna get mad at us. Feel free to do it if you want. Artists, have fun. And then at this point, when, you know, America's culture has, granted, I know they're not just selling to America, but I'm just saying here, like, the culture here has shifted so much that now you'll have stuff like, you know, the Department of Homeland Security utilizing Halo to completely dehumanize people, and Microsoft doesn't lift a finger. They don't do anything about it. Like, that's the world that we are in now. Like, Microsoft literally doesn't even do nothing to defend their IP or anything like that. They just kind of let it happen. You can tell that things have shifted because they just kind of, like, companies are just kind of like, okay, well, what's the general, like, the general consensus? Like, should we do this? Will people care if we push back or if we add this or not? It's all about the zeitgeist. The new Divinity has AI concept art, ruined a lot of goodwill. Yeah, that's what I heard. So, but I do think that there's going to be a massive pushback, specifically, as I said before, if Elder Scrolls 6 does end up being in Hammerfell, and we see, like, you know, it'll be like, okay, well, this is about, you know, the Red Guards, and, you know, they've got a Red Guard hero, because they always have a defined hero, you know, like the Dragonborn hero, the hero of Kvatch. You know, you get the typecast vibe. They always do that, and so that's gonna happen. And so, how are people gonna react to that? I can't really, I don't really know, to be honest, because like the Red Guards have already been a well-defined portion of the lore. I mean, Red Guards got like, literally, like, the biggest expansion of the lore came out with Redguard, like, the game. Because that was when the Pocket Guide to the Empire released, which was, like, such a massive lore dump. It was crazy how incredibly expansive that was. And, obviously, in that lore dump came, like, a Redguard lore dump. And it's just such a fascinating, like, history and culture. And you don't know how upset it makes me that, like, people who, like, finally get the chance to really get immersed in that culture and their history might get it, like, tarnished and tainted by a bunch of freaks just looking for clicks on YouTube and shit. Sad. But that's why I talk about it a lot. I talk about it so much because I already see it happening before it happens. And I want more people to talk about it, because the more people that call it before it happens soften the blow before it comes, right? I wish that more Elder Scrolls, like, content creators were calling this out before it happens, because, like, I mean, it would help a bit. It wouldn't stop the whole thing, but it would at least help a bit, because then you kind of filter out the people who do, like, want to have a form of image, and they're like, oh shit, you know, once you start doing something that people already said you were going to do, you don't look like the cool, dominant, macho alpha male that you thought you did, because everyone's already reading you before you did something. So I wish more people were being open about it. But we'll see if it even is Hammerfell, right? But I mean, like, it does make sense. And yes, Hammerfell does have trees. There are forests. There'll be pushback. You think a good enough portion of the Elder Scrolls fan base are pretty progressive? Maybe older fans might have some pushback. You feel like so much of the fan base these days seems better, not perfect. There's some assholes about. I feel most are alright. I think it depends. I think that ESO's fan base, like, if you're like an Elder Scrolls player that also plays ESO, I get along with them a lot more. And then, like, when I talk to people who are more, like, restrictive to, like, the main games, I get a lot more of a jaded, cold, unfriendly feeling from most of them. It's kind of weird. But I think it might have something to do with the older fans. I don't know. Be like you said, like, if someone, because like a lot of people like stopped at Skyrim, or they're very bitter about Skyrim. If I recall correctly, from USP, it was mentioned that the Elder Scrolls Redguard was the first time a protagonist was named. You're right, because in Redguard, you know, don't really play as like a hero character in the normal sense. You play as Cyrus, who, like, kind of, it's the only Elder Scrolls game really where that happens, which does make it very unique. Hello, good to see you. Something I really like that ZOS does, and I like that ZOS doesn't, like, they make use of pretty much everything they can find when it comes to the Elder Scrolls. And I think that, like, the fact that ESO obviously is an MMO is a big reason for that, you know? Like, when you're doing an MMO, you need to use everything at your disposal. You can't really want to leave things untouched, because what you're aiming for is as much progress, as much content as possible. So that means that ZOS is going to end up, like, using, it's like, oh, let's use stuff from, you know, it's like, okay, we're going to use Stros M'Kai, of all things, and you know, utilize the map from the game, even though it's not as lush. Obviously, you can't use a lot of lore from Redguard, because Redguard is after ESO. I believe it's the next game up after ESO. So it goes ESO and then Redguard, because that's like late Second Era. Redguard's the only other Elder Scrolls game in the Second Era so far. But it kind of happens at the end, because it's like the Septim Dynasty. But, like, ESO's got stuff, you know, from Redguard, like Nafalar and stuff like that. But I mean, like, there was a when Oblivion Remastered released, they were doing a little bit of a background, like a behind the scenes. I'm sorry to keep going on this topic, but this is the topic that's important to me. But they were doing a behind the scenes for Oblivion Remastered, and like they were doing interviews with all these devs and whatnot, and even something as completely innocent and mundane as people talking about a game they made that honestly did very well, by the way, even something like that was torn to pieces on Twitter because they were like, look, they were getting all manosphere on these devs, and they're like she's a woman and she has colored hair. This is where the Elder Scrolls is going. We are so doomed. We are so dead. And like that was just I posted about that when it came out, and I'm like, this is a microcosm of what you should expect when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. It's going to be a lot of this. But I believe also I probably screenshotted that tweet and shared it because you do not want to share those tweets. That's what they want you to do. I want people to be more aware, especially like if you're on Twitter and they've got a blue check and they say something like that. Do not engage. You can talk about it and, you know, show that people are gonna engagement farm and hate and shit, but do not comment, do not share. That is, it's literally just like a big fucking scam. Cannot believe that so many people don't understand this. Yeah, Twitter is like 70% dead internet. You kind of said that Elder Scrolls Legends shut down. Art was divine. Art's like the best ever. I will say, in a tiny, tiny glimmer of hope, there's a project called Elder Scrolls Legend Reborn, I believe, which is doing their best to rebuild the game. I don't know what their progress is at. I saw them active earlier this year, but they are trying. If you want to maybe check out that project or join in on the project, feel free. But yeah. I don't really know if Bethesda would do anything about it. Bethesda's generally pretty chill. Because, I mean, like, you guys know, like Sky Oblivion, they're pretty chill about that. They're not like, Nintendo. Nintendo loses their minds over stuff like that. Ugh. Lego's also being that way. Like, there was that huge... I want to say it was like 7 or 8 years in the making. This huge Bionicle fan project that was, you know, not even like a reconstruction of a thing that Lego already made. It was just, you know, based on like the early years of Bionicle. They made it. They were making it for like 7 to 8 years. Video game. They got Lego's blessing earlier on because they didn't want to get interrupted or canceled. And like right before their first major demo released, Lego told them to shut down. Like a cease and desist. Like, it was basically like almost like they were intimidated or something. It was crazy. Like, that's like 7, 8 years of content just like gone. Just, that's it. Like music, you know, modeling, animations, so much hard work gone. Because they were like, we'll send our lawyers after you if you put this out. It's crazy. Like, I think they just, like, maybe they thought that they weren't actually going to deliver. They were like, yeah, you can do whatever. And then once it started happening, they were like, no, you're not allowed to do that anymore. Or maybe, like, I guess their legal department was just maybe made of completely different people, you know, 7 or 8 years ago, and they just changed their mind. Who knows? Are they like the folks from Sky Oblivion? I actually don't know. I don't generally keep up with, oh, crap. I don't generally keep up with things like fan projects and reconstructions a lot, but with each passing update on Twitter, it dies a little more, so you wouldn't worry much about what's posted there. They did that to LEGO Universe. They did that to the LEGO Universe. Wait, they what? Wait. Wait, they... Like, that's gone? I'm getting the power. No. You're telling me the like the privately hosted LEGO Universe stuff? Dark Flame. Yeah, it was called Dark Flame. Is that still... They shut down Dark Flame? As I heard, they could hold private servers. Oh. Yeah, it's all just private servers. Yeah. I mean, that's something at least. That's something at least, you know? Like... Yeah, because I forget. I think, I'm trying to remember who all was involved in that. I'm pretty sure I remember seeing Jamester, I think his name is, doing that back in the day. Dang it, I can't keep up. Yeah, there we are. I never actually got to play the LEGO Universe. LEGO Universe was like the first MMO I wanted to play. Like back in 2010 or whatever, I was like really into the idea. I had never played an MMO before, and I was like, I want to play this so bad. I want to play an adventure in like a huge world with a bunch of strangers. I really, really wanted to do it. It was like in my blood. And then it was like $10 a month or something, and I couldn't afford that. No kid could afford that. So, I never got into it, and then they shut it down. I felt so sad. I had like, I took like something out of the magazine, I think, and put it on my wall. And then, you know, I guess I just kind of like lost interest in doing MMOs for a long time. It took ESO to get me into MMOs, and I was like, oh yeah, you know what, this is in my blood. This is why I wanted to play. Because it's really just my favorite type of game. I'm not the kind of guy that prefers a single-player experience. I tend to find single-player games hard to stick to, unless it's like The Elder Scrolls. Or maybe it was that they couldn't add new content or something. That is interesting. Do you guys remember Feral? Has anyone here heard of Feral? F-E-R period A-L? You know of it? You never played it? Essentially, it is a very, very small MMO. Like a very incredibly small MMO. That is essentially like you make your own little pretty creature character and run around doing mundane little quests. It's very, very relaxing. I used to play it back in like 2021 or 2. And then the whole thing got shut down. It essentially, you're gonna have to look into it to get the facts, but I remember something about the owner of the project converted it to some kind of like NFT or crypto scheme, and then like all the players were just kind of like, this is shit, and it just kind of like got corrupted and all fell apart. And since no one was really playing it anymore after this scam, the servers probably weren't upkept, and that's probably why it had to be completely dropped. And a bunch of people took the assets for the game and restructured it to make Emu Feral, obviously like emulated Feral. And essentially it's not a perfect complete remake, but it looked perfect to me. But essentially it's basically like, it's Feral, but then these devs took it and decided to like expand on the lore themselves. Like they just took the franchise and were like, you know what, we're taking this, and they started adding content and expanding on stuff and whatnot. Usually I'd be against that concept. That's just usually not what I'm into. But the creator sounds like an absolute jerk, and it's just kind of like, you know what? It belongs to the people who actually loved it now, you know? It belongs to the people who saw Feral as something that had soul instead of a soulless fucking crypto scheme. So, I think it belongs to them now, and it feels like I'm in their Discord server, and it definitely feels like they're enjoying it more. They hold contests and stuff like that. Oh my god. Are you serious? Oh my god. Really? Anyway, I played Emu Feral once or twice, and then I freaking, like, forgot my password and my account number, and I need to contact the devs to see if I can get it back, or if I have to make a whole new one. Anyway, it's a very casual MMO. It's very, very niche. Like, I don't really know how many people would enjoy it the way that I do. I also have nostalgic memories attached to it. I kind of find I find it very interesting. Like, this is kind of a low-key little project, and it's fun to see how many people are enjoying such a low-key project. It's like a special club. Remember, one of the Truck Sim devs were being interviewed once, and they said that whatever game is released by any dev, whatever game is released by any dev team, once it's in players' hands, it belongs to them. Oh shit, shit. We're on normal, aren't we? Yeah, okay, this will be fast. Especially if we take shortcut. Does this really count? It's gonna be like a 6-minute experience or something. Pull, pull, pull. We're all just waiting. Here we go. Oh, also Feral is free, I believe. MU Feral is especially free because I don't think they can charge for anything. I'm pretty sure they would probably get in trouble if they did. So I don't think they do. I think that, like, you can technically play to get everything. So it might be like a time sink. I forget. I always like to play around Halloween. That's when I started playing their Cindernacht event. Cheese. Just. Remember when ESO first came out, the dungeon group I was in wiped on the War Chief? Yeah, those vibes when something that is a pushover now was not a pushover then. I think this guy's gonna try to pull the drag. Nope, here we go. A lot of times I think about what ESO is like when I started playing, and like I had never played an MMO before, so I was just drowning in menus, and I told myself, like, I'll get used to the menus. I'll get used to the menus. It's an MMO. There's a lot of menus. This is my second time screwing this up. I talked about how good I was at this, and now... Yeah, I remember things like little common enemies would be hard for me to beat when I started playing ESO, and I didn't understand the combat, and it was a very different time. I was just wandering around. Everything felt so big, you know? Wandering around Vardenfell. Like, you know, I didn't have all these way shrines to go to. That's the feeling that I try to emulate whenever a new zone comes out or whatever. Is I don't try to rush through everything. I'm going to each zone or each way shrine when I discover it. Things like that. That's kind of how I go through all these zones. It's like I like to take my time. Literally, like Eastern Solstice, I haven't done any of the side quests. I haven't. I've only been in one of the delves, but I haven't even done that quest. I'm missing a lot of stuff over there. I take my time, you know? And heck, I mean, like, if January 7th comes around and they're like, yeah, that we're not really coming out with a new zone, or they're like, we're coming out with a small zone in November or something, then I'm gonna be like, that's a good thing I held on, because there's not gonna be much keeping me, I mean, there's not gonna be much new stuff. Something there should be invisible walls there. Wow, you want to cancel the shortcut? Without a short, Fungal Grotto already is, yes. No, I mean, like, sometimes, look. Sometimes I get home from work and they're like, do a dungeon, and it's like, I don't have time to do, like, I don't have time to, like, queue for a dungeon and end up getting Lair of Marsalak. it's like I like the idea of there being a
What do you want?
you know, something really easy. Weenie Hut General for dungeons. Yeah, that's what fungal is. I'm the only non-Dromothra one here. Please don't be Naj. Please don't be Naj. There's so many dungeons in this game. There's like 25 dungeons. 20, 26. What are the odds of it being Naj? Orcs, okay. I'm trying to save Naj. Dude, I'm seeing like old Lego Universe stuff now because I looked up Lego Universe and like I was so into it, you know, like like Lego Universe, it might be Lego's like one of their last real full expressions of like themselves, right? Like Lego at a certain point, like after Lego Universe, they just became completely swamped in IPs to the point where like they did Lego Dimensions, which was like almost nothing but IPs. Like it's all they care about is IPs because IPs sell. Essentially, Lego at this point is just kind of like constructible Funko Pops, right? Where it's just kind of we take something that you know and we make it into a set, which is not inherently a bad thing, but as someone that grew up with Lego kind of making their own things and delivering them as like their own identity, I miss that a lot. Like a lot. It was like the like, you know, 80s, 90s, 2000s, was a really core time for Lego. I mean, you know, I know I gave like Hero Factory a lot of shit because you know it took over where Bionicle left off, but like I would take Hero Factory over all these IPs, just dominating the market. Though ironically, like the one the one IP that just refuses to go away, that actually Lego made themselves, is one that I complain about constantly, so maybe I shouldn't be talking. How many people are here? 7? Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna drop some weather lore for those that don't know. Weather lore, if I have a wiki page, this is on the wiki page. Okay, so I want you guys to put yourselves in my shoes. I was, let's see, this was late 2010. Let's see, in 2010, I would have been, I would have been 15 years old. So, late 2010, Bionicle had just ended, right? They had the Bionicle Stars line, and that was like their final hurrah. They got to complete the story, which I'm really happy about. I think the ending was pretty nice. They had some after story stuff, just to kind of continue it on a bit, but eventually that kind of tapered out. But it ended pretty nice. I liked the finale. but I was kind of feeling an emptiness. The Bionicle fandom still existed. In fact, the Bionicle fandom still exists to this day, which is very cool. But I needed something, right, to kind of like scratch that itch that Bionicle left. And at that time, I was kind of, I don't know if I would say a weeb. I was not into anime, but I was very into like Chinese, Japanese mythology, folklore, all that stuff. And I liked the aesthetic, right? I was really into it, even if it wasn't completely accurate, you know. I really like watching Kung Fu Panda and stuff. I liked going to the Chinese restaurant that's nearby. And so Lego then announces, and they announced a new IP, right? Just barely. Like, they announced like this budding new IP that I was pretty much there for the announcement, and I was immediately ultra hyper autistically obsessed. And this new IP was called Ninjago, and they had a little test animation to show everybody of like this ninja facing off against like this huge war machine. And I liked the vibe of like traditional like natural prowess and magic against like industrial waste. I liked that aesthetic that it gave off, and I was immediately hooked. I was obsessed. Like, then when Ninjago officially came out, I like got everything I could get my hands on. I was just so into the it was, you know, it was kiddie. There was a lot of kiddiness to it, even for a 15-year-old like me. But I thought it was nice. They had their own story, animations, lore, and things like that. Like, the website when Ninjago was first announced was just chock full of lore, like all these creatures and locations that honestly I don't think actually ever were referenced again. I don't know, but it just kind of felt like they just wrote it and then throw it away. But it was very exciting for the time. And the series came out, and it was very much this idea of like these kind of, it was kind of like, you know, these guys who were obviously very contemporary, trying to adapt to the ninja lifestyle, and they kind of gave a Ninja Turtles sort of vibe, but it wasn't industrial, it wasn't urban, it was very like, it was very natural, and Zen, I guess, was kind of the vibe. And I liked that contrast. I liked the idea of like having these like ninja that just had their swords and staves and dragons against these enemies who were in tanks and big war machines and whatnot. That was what I liked about Ninjago, and that entire vibe went out the window the second year of the franchise. Essentially, the second year of the franchise, things, I don't think they really knew what to do with the main characters not having like their own vehicles, because you can't sell a dragon set every year, right? You can't sell an ancient temple every year. And I think they kind of buckled under the pressure, and they, like, the second year they started giving like the ninja like fighter jets, motorcycles, all these things, and immediately I was struggling so bad, because I was like so hyper obsessed, but instantly everything that I liked about it was kind of thrown down the drain. Suddenly it was just like, it just kind of turned into kind of like a anime vibe, And I was very, very, very sad. And I tried to hold on as long as I could. I was trying to tell myself that it wasn't so bad. And then I think it all just kind of came to a head when they like decided to do a huge plot twist where they were like, hey, you know this character that you've liked for so long, that you identified with because he was awkward and he was quiet and he was very different from his friends. You know that character that you identified with so much? Guess what? He was a fucking robot the entire time. That's right. He was a robot. Because quiet kids who are also like socially awkward are robots and they're not normal. And that was when I just kind of fell out. I've never fallen out of a fandom before, you know. I've never fallen out of a fandom, you know. Like I'm not like a hardcore brony anymore like I was in 2013, 14, 15. Oh, I'm gonna fall. But like, I still like MLP. I'll literally still go and watch like My Little Pony episodes because it's still a fun show. But I literally cannot look back at Ninjago. It just like, it was rough. And I got a lot of shit for this. I got a lot, like, I were posting a lot online about how I didn't like the changes that were being made, and I was uncomfortable. People were just kind of like, well, you're crazy. And I was like, it's just a complete tonal shift. I'm sorry. It did not vibe with me at all. But I think it's definitely because LEGO could not keep selling the same buildings and stuff like that. LEGO has shown time and time again that they lean towards vehicles because vehicles sell like the best. Like they're giving vehicles to like Marvel characters that just never even really had any. They just, that's why Star Wars sells like hotcakes. It's because there's just so many vehicles. It's crazy. You just have to make a vehicle and then toss a minifigure in there. So it's no wonder Ninjago had to fall to the same thing. They just couldn't keep it up. And I get it. It's like you mentioned Lego Knights. Lego Knights and stuff that did work, but also things like Knight's Kingdom and whatnot, they had to go through iterations that were only like 2 or 3 years long. Like Knight's Kingdom, the version with like, you know, like Santis and Jaco, that only lasted like 2 or 3 years. It can only go for so long before it just has to drop. I think they wanted to keep Ninjago going for a long time. So they just had to do that. And yeah, so that's why I fell out. But I swear to God, I went from like being the most autistically obsessed to just... I've still got my sets though. There's my lore. Gotta turn my music back on, that's what was missing. Oh, I didn't even finish my soda yet. But I do think you should check out Bionicle. I've had a friend, he's like, I gotta check out Bionicle, and I'm like, should I refrain from even talking about spoilers? Bionicle went from 2001 to 2010, so like almost 10 years, even though I feel like it felt like it went on for longer because there's just so much stuff. but it's very good. I mean, like, literally, like, I don't really know if I don't know if I would say that there's even a weak year. I mean, I guess, you know, people say the Stars was weak, but that's, I knew that something seemed to have been happening with LEGO at that time. Like, Hero Factory sets and Star sets were very similar in kind of, like, build and stature, and I think they might have been facing, like, financial issues or something at that time. So I can't really blame them for Star sets looking the way that they looked. I think they were doing the best they could. And I'm really glad that they went out of their way to make the sets, like, more lore-based, right? I mean, the Star sets were actually references to, like, past years of the franchise, and it's like, I'm glad they went out of their way to give it a memoriam, you know, before, like, ending it. And yeah, it was rebooted in 2015, 2016, but we don't talk about the reboot. I don't care what people say. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching the ESO portion of the stream. Now I should probably actually end. I should probably end. Thank you guys so much for watching this year. This is the final stream of the year. But I mean, like, I'll be back on, you know, Friday, the usual. Doing usual things. I'm probably gonna... Oh my god, I completely forgot to open my UESP package again. How many times am I gonna forget to do this? Oh my god. I was gonna do it... Oh my god. Okay. Someone remind me to do it on Friday. I got a package from the UESP for the 2025 box rewards. Just remind me, I swear to god. This is like the 5th time I've forgotten it. I just got carried away with the dungeons, and now it's getting too late. But yeah, remind me to do that on Friday. It's only a few days from now. On January 7th, pre-ESO reveal. I mean, like, at this point, I literally could see myself forgetting a whole other weekend. I'm so freaking forgetful. But yeah, I mean, like, technically, I wasn't even sure if I was going to stream today anyway, but... Eesh. I'm literally sitting here thinking... Should I just do the unboxing now? Like, should I just do it now, like, really quick? How long would that take? Okay. I'll give myself a half hour. Because I'm sitting here thinking, do I want to open the 2025 rewards in 2026? It feels weird. You know what? I'll give myself, oh my goodness, I will, Cray says no, like in all caps. She says go to bed. You guys can see, why am I saying what she's saying? But Cray's, how, but I can't, like, opening the 2025 rewards in 2026 doesn't make any sense. Do you know, like, my OCD is going bonkers right now. Like, it's going crazy. Like, it'll be real. 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Think of it like memories? What does that mean? What do you mean, think of it like memories? That sounds so deep. I get it for I go to work an hour early. Yes, that is true. If I go to sleep from if I go. She's yelling at me. You're telling my mom. I mean, she knows. Like, okay, look. Look. If it takes half an hour. I mean, I've gone to work with like 15 minutes of sleep before, but I don't want to do that again. I get it. It's just that literally, like, the box is right there. It's right there. There's not too much in it, you know. It won't take too terribly long. You vote for sleep too? My OCD is going bonkers. I literally don't even know if I could sleep, though. Like, at this point, I don't even know if I could sleep. I had a large coffee, and then I had a soda. I don't even know if that's gonna happen. This is how I'm gonna end my year. I shouldn't have gotten so carried away with the. I swear to God, why am I so forgetful? Why am I so ridiculously forgetful? Let me find someone to raid you to. I am going to raid you to. Doryu, who is doing some Overwatch 2. Thank you guys so much for being here this year. I don't even know how many streams I've done this year, but I'm certain Twitch could tell me. I did, like, I guess if you were to, like, estimate, I would have done 52. What's 52 times 3? Calculator. 52 times 3 equals, let's see, 156. And let's toss in some extras, because I did do some extras. And I also let's do plus 9 because there was my vacation. Let's do plus 9 again because there was my other vacation. I guess that's not really fair because several of those days were weekends. Okay, let's just go ahead. I think that, like, if we just take everything into account, probably like 170 streams or something. I used to stream like 360 streams a year. Like, I think honestly, like, maybe like 364. I think I've missed like a day. I did have a couple years where I streamed like every day, and then I stopped. But, you know, quality over quantity. I will see you next year. I'm going to be sending you guys over to Doryu, who is doing his last stream of the year. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you. Leaf said see you next year first, so I'm going to say it as well. 364 out of 365. Yeah, that was back in my like stream no matter what days. That was I mean, I guess you could say I was a little bit burnt out. It wasn't, like, the worst, but, like, after working in retail and having to go home and then do a stream, you know, like, some days I would literally have, like, I'd leave work at, like, 11, and they would want me in at, like, 9 a.m. or something, you know. It was rough. And I would put in, like, an hour of streaming just for the OCD. I was just like, I have to do it, or it's gonna bug me. So it's whatever. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to send you to Doryu. I will see you on Friday, so not too long from now. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.